Good evening. Happy Mommy Mondays. Kia Ortiz here for our usual time together where we as moms to be, come together to talk about topics that matter to us. And so if you saw the title, you know that today is a good one. It's a necessary one. And it's coming from the heels of a couple of reels that I did last week talking about moms are struggling being with their kids 24/7. And I had alluded to the fact that I believe that a lot of us are struggling because we have not been shown ways that we can actually be with our kids and thrive, ways that we can safeguard our mental health and also enjoy our children. And so today is a non-traditional Mommy Mondays. I'm sitting here with my kids in in the midst of our mess to give you guys real talk. Like this is real life. So we'll wait a few moments for everyone to join in. And if you're catching the replay, make sure you comment below, your thoughts and everything like that. But we're in a real life mommy mode right now. And I love it. Not afraid of it. I love it. And I'll share with you why in a few moments. Let me share this out real quick. You're thirsty? Can you pass her water as well, please? Shall we share this day in the real life? No, I'm not done, baby. Go sit down and finish your food. But you're doing all this and you're supposed to be sitting down eating. Mm. Thirsty? Okay. All right, when you guys get in, let me know who's here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because if y'all know anything about children, when you get on the phone, when you get to do stuff, then that's when they want to wild out. But I'm doing this honest, transparent moment because I think sometimes, again, we need to just see real life and draw real expectations or reality. So, reality is John is working late. I have to do Mommy Mondays, or rather, I get to do Mommy Mondays. Things don't stop just because of that. And I've had to find ways to not just cope, but thrive while I'm still with my kids, still having to live life. I would show y'all Ava, but Ava somehow between when I pressed start and now decided to take her shirt off. So we can't see Ava. But it is what it is. Okay. I think we're good here. All right. So for those of you that don't know, I am 1 year shy of my psychology degree. I am going to Liberty University for psychology and for life coaching. Please stop. You don't have a hiccup that is fake. You could drink some water then, baby. I have no idea. It's your responsibility. And so with that, I'm looking at psychology from a spiritual aspect as well as from a mom's aspect. How does psychology work as it relates to us as moms, to everyday moms doing the thing right? Especially because we hear a lot of content out here telling us what we're supposed to do. But how do we know the difference between someone's good idea or clickbait versus what's actually applicable, backed by science, backed by trial and error, backed by moms that are really dealing with it. Okay. And so that's what today's conversation is. I'm going to give you 5 mental health tips and 5 practical tips. Okay. Hi, Mama Annette. Good to see you. I know you got some tips. So we're talking about 10 tips, 5 mental, 5 practical, that will help us go from surviving motherhood to thriving having to be with our kids. And it's a real life example. We have Ava here and the boys. Yes. What would you like? You want daddy? Me too, baby. For those that you don't know, I do Mommy Mondays. Typically, John is here to be with the kids. And so it is what it is. Are you done eating? Yeah? Are you ready for your cookie? Okay. So the first thing I wanted to address with you guys. Have you heard about not doing timeout with your kids? Have you guys heard about that? This is one of our mental health tips. A lot of people are saying that you should not do timeout with your kids because it's doing more harm than good. It's showing us neglecting our children emotionally. I don't know why we have a maraca at the table. Neglecting our children emotionally. So what it's causing parents to do is not have that tool of timeout. Now, when I say timeout, I'm talking about the sense of your child is having a meltdown, your child is having a problem. What do you do? Okay. And nowadays they're teaching parents to sit with their children. Child is having a meltdown. We should be able to regulate ourselves, right? Enough to sit with our children and manage their emotions. Okay. And so I always found this very triggering because if anyone's like me, hearing a child scream, holler, fuss, it triggers me. Now, granted, I would love to be at a place where I can manage that and not be triggered. But a lot of us are healing while still having to mother, healing while still having to manage working, household, being married, or having the child's father. We're still coping with these things and expected to respond as if nothing is going on. And so I found reading Psychology Today something that is very beneficial for us, especially as we're trying to cope and understand what's going on. Okay. Depending upon where your child is, we have to remember first and foremost, their frontal lobe is not developed. So a lot of these meltdowns, a lot of these things are irrational. We cannot expect a child to be rational about their emotion, what's going on. Okay. And so when we're talking about time out, it's basically saying, no, you need to sit down because you're doing a bad thing and you need to, stop that. Now people are teaching us time in where we're supposed to sit with our children. But in reading Psychology Today, I really appreciate what this Dr. Claire Lanier said. A lot of her patients, she was giving them suggestions to do time in. But a lot of them were coming back saying that it was causing the meltdown to get even louder, more disruptive. It wasn't doing what they were expecting it to do. It kind of resulted in you kind of feeding into the temper tantrum, the meltdown. For me personally, I've experienced that where my child, and let me know if this is anybody else, I'm trying to be in the moment with my kid. I'm trying to connect with them while they're rageful, while they're throwing temper tantrums. Mine don't hit, but some children hit. So while they're doing all things, we're expected to be calm, to regulate ourselves. Now imagine you're supposed to be regulating yourself on top of all the other things that are going on. So what she has found is not as simple as not doing time out, and it's not as simple as doing time in. What you have to do is set some parameters about distancing yourself if that's the case. If you're not mentally there, your child is having a meltdown, it's okay to say, okay, let's take some time apart. Let's gather ourselves, but with parameters. And that's the big thing with timeout. If you're doing timeout and you're not giving your child parameters, it can look like punishment. It can look like rejection. But if you say to your child, and this is what I've been doing for Adonai, even before I knew about this, you guys, okay, right now, I just can't. I need us to help each other and speak in a way that we could both understand each other. Okay, baby. I would send him to his room, or if he was on the couch, I would have him grab the pillow and scream into the pillow because the noise was triggering to me. Have y'all ever been there? Just the screams and the hollers of your kids can cause you to physically feel assaulted. And so if you're expected to be calm, you're not only just ignoring your emotions, but your child can sense that your jaw is tension up. You're not there. And so we're not expected to be all there, but we are expected to set boundaries. So Hey, I'm going to have you sit here. Mommy's going to go to the other room. We're both going to breathe. And once we calm down so we can hear each other, then we're going to come back together. And of course, they'll be like, but you said what you said. Now it's okay to safely separate. We are seeing too many people lashing out at their kids because they're trying to manage somebody that's irrational and unresponsive. Why would you take that verbal abuse? I'm going to set the parameters and we're going to distance ourselves. Once we're calm, cool, we're going to come back together. Okay. And I need us to understand that the concept of the world is providing us of no time out, only time in. We have to be connected enough with ourselves and aware. And that's the one thing I'm hearing in all my psychology classes. Self-awareness is key. If I'm unable to regulate myself and manage myself, I can't do that for my child. It's okay to take a break and separate with parameters. Okay. So that's the one thing I want to share on this one, especially if a lot of us are feeding into that. It's okay if you can't manage it. Take a breather, take a break, and go that route. Okay. All right. So practical, because that's my jam. Okay, anyways. Practical tip. Do y'all see this baby? This is a ninja foodie. This is my second mommy. This is my lifesaver. Okay. Preparing food, if anybody's like me, preparing food while my kids are around, while my kids are hungry, is the worst time to cook. Please listen to me. Listen to your sister. Listen to someone that's in the trenches. The worst time to cook is when people are hungry. Worst time. So I love this ninja. So tonight we're having rice, chicken, and broccoli. Okay. The kids will have, the seasonings with the chicken. Y'all don't like the seasoning? You like it? He said, so I have one that doesn't like it, one that does like it, but it's a little bit spicy, one that doesn't like it, but ate it anyways. That's the honest kids feedback. I made these tonight. This took all of 3 minutes in the microwave. This morning, I made the rice, like when we were done with breakfast and cleaning up, I made the rice in the ninja, took 3 minutes. And then once that was done, I put that in the dish. That was earlier today. And about an hour or so ago, I went ahead and made the broccoli. We have to figure out practical ways to manage our day. Okay. We know that food is coming. Somebody got to eat at some point in the day. What are you doing about it? People love crock pots? There's so many different things. But mama, let me tell you, one of the things that are stressing you out is food. Though you may not be thinking about dinner, though you may not be thinking about lunch, it's still a mental load on your brain. So what can you do now to prepare your foods in advance? You can prepare your food before you go to work. Have it already there in a dish in the fridge. You get home, just imagine you don't have to cook dinner. It's already done. And then also you don't have to deal with the guilt of eating out, right? So figure out how you can pre-plan your food, your meals, to keep it as simple as possible. Again, rice took 3 minutes in my ninja. The broccoli took all of 5-6 minutes for it to roast. Put some seasoning, some olive oil. The chicken took 3 minutes. On a typical day, if I wasn't so bogged down with so many things, I probably would have made some baked chicken. I probably would have made something more effort into it. But Mondays are my busiest day. Do you know your busiest day? Even if you take that off your list. You know what? Wednesdays are my most busiest day. Let me get dinner off my plate. Let me just wake up 30 minutes early, or, on Sundays, prepare my meals so I don't have to deal about that. And that's a practical tip for you. Okay. Now, another psychology tip. We are guilty of multitasking. Do you want to know something that I read in one of my psychology lessons. Listen to this. Multitasking. I'm gonna call this a multitask effect, okay? Because we all think we're good at it. Women, we thrive on multitasking. But let me tell you what multitasking is doing to us. Multitasking is the mistaken belief that when we do two or more things at the same time, we get them done faster and better. Explains a productivity psychologist, Dr. Melissa. What we are commonly referring to as multitasking is better described as task switching because the brain is not capable of intently focusing on two serious tasks at the same time. This reality means that one or both tasks are inevitably going to suffer. If I'm sitting here with my kids, the TV on, talking to you, dinner still cooking in the background, all these things are going at once, and I think I'm multitasking, but really I'm bogging down my brain because our brain cannot switch from one, like our brain can't do multiple things, it has to switch. And what happens is when it switches, it's not being fully effective. Yeah, okay. It's not being fully effective. So then what does that do to us? Do we feel good about ourselves? Do we feel competent? No, see, prime example. I'm trying to get ice cream out and I'm talking to y'all. Hold on one second. We're sitting frozen. Can you pack up the Ava? So we would like to think that we're doing multiple things well, but we're really not. So the biggest tip, one of the tips I can give you is focus on one thing at a time. If your child is talking to you or someone's talking to you, limit as much noise as you can around you. You guys, excuse me. Thank you. Turn down the TV, turn down the music, whatever you need to do, but realize and respect your mind in the sense of, I'm asking my mind to do more than what it's actually capable of doing at once. This is how we end up lashing out at our children. Okay. And so with that being said, this next one is a practical / mental health one. And I'm going to show you this video that'll help us better understand what I mean to what's happening to our brain, how our body is responding, and us letting go of the guilt of lashing out. I mean, granted, yes, we want to control our emotions, but I need you to understand that it's so much more deeper than you just not controlling your emotion. There's something going on in our body chemically that we have to be self-aware of when we're dealing with high stress moments or these random outlandish moments where we are trying to get a hold of our day or our child or of the moment, and we just really physically can't or feel like we can't. So listen to this.
In our body. These chemicals were once crucial to our survival. They've played an important part in our evolution, but they can be quite destructive nowadays. We call these chemical changes the fight, flight, or freeze response. When we become stressed, our body responds as humans always have. We assume that whatever has caused the stress is a threat to our physical safety, even when it isn't. And it's natural to either fight it, run from it, or, as we've recently discovered, to simply freeze. Our body doesn't know the difference between a physical and a psychological threat, so fight, flight, or freeze is also a natural response to hassles like having an argument, sitting in traffic, or trying to get through a mountain of work. This means that any negative emotions like worry, impatience, or anger can cause our body to increase our heart rate, pump stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol through our system, and redirect blood from our digestive system into our muscles and limbs. Basically, it's a heightened state of awareness that prepares us for action. But the days of needing to run from a saber-toothed tiger are long gone.
What do y'all think about that? Not y'all. Okay, baby. Okay. Fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. Cortisol and adrenaline pumps is a hormone that pumps in our body. Our sympathetic nervous system is triggered. We get less oxygen. Our muscles tense up because we're ready to fight, flight, or freeze. And it can simply happen with your child just randomly yelling. You're having a calm moment. Crying can trigger it because it's almost like your body is perceiving a threat. And now your body's responding. Your heart begins to race. You start breathing fast. What's the first thing you do? Something, you're calm, you're chill. Something happens or your child ticks you off. The first thing you do is your body's triggered and these hormones are racing in your body. And I wish somebody told me this early on, because when he talked about the blood rushes from your digestive system out to your limbs, that's giving your muscles strength. Okay. This is how people are harming their children and saying, I didn't know I hit them that hard. I didn't know that I shook them that hard. Because your adrenaline is rushing, your cortisol is all the way up here. It's hard to calm down. It's hard to breathe. And you've now responded. Yeah, thank you, baby. Go ahead and get your ice cream. And you guys, it can happen as simple as that quick. Then we regret it. And so the point of this is I want to give you one big practical tool that's going to help you in those moments to go from surviving, because your body's now in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, meaning you're about to fight, you're about to run away, and often we can't run away with our kids. We have to be there with them. Or freeze. And freeze meaning you isolate, you start to cut yourself off. You don't want to make any decisions. You're just disconnected. And unfortunately, we become disconnected from our children. So what ends up happening is if we keep doing that and not regulating ourselves, our brain will shift to survival mode and stay there. So let me give you one tip. And I know this sounds, oh, that's so easy, but let's look at the science behind it, right? We talked about that fight, flight, or flight mode. Your breathing gets shallow. That means you're not getting enough oxygen, okay? So before you respond to that child, and I have to do this on a regular basis because there's moments where I'm out in public, I feel embarrassed because my child is yelling or they're not listening, or I've told them multiple things over and over again, and now I'm seeing them do something, and now I am angry, and everything in me wants to fight. Immediately grab your belly and put your hands on your chest. Immediately. And one thing about your brain is going to automatically go down the pathway of least resistance. So if we taught our body to fight and hit our kid or yell and scream, it's going to keep doing that. It's going to take some time for you to reverse that pattern. But immediately you feel that, grab your stomach and grab your chest. And then what I want you to do is called belly breathing. I want you to take a deep breath. And Christina, I love her to death. She's taught us this too. You're going to breathe in and just imagine your air, your oxygen flowing through your body, and you're going to feel your belly go in and out. Yeah, baby. In and out. Focus on that. Take some 3 deep breaths, because not only is it taking you a moment to gather yourself and respond properly, but it's also telling your body, hey, we're okay. We're not in flight, we're not in fight, and we're not in freeze mode. There are no threats. Though your child feels like a threat, there are no threats here. You are in control. breathe. Not only does that chemically reset your body, but it gives you a moment to think. And again, we're going to have to keep doing this to change our mind's path of thinking when we're in that fight, flight, or freeze mode. But something that simple has saved my life, has saved my children, and just situations that are regrettable because I took that time to breathe. Again, it's so simple, but your body is begging for oxygen when you're in that fight, flight, or freeze mode. Okay? This is something that unfortunately, psychology is really just like medicine. It's really a whole bunch of theories based off of general things that typically happen, right? They take a group of people, they do a study, they base a theory off of this. Never facts, but it's based off a theory. I don't know if they have not done a group with moms and the stressors and how that looks, how we love something so dearly, but then can take us there so quick. But psychology is all about theories. And so what you have to do is gauge what's going to work for you and how you can regulate things yourself within yourself and figure out what works. And so all these are just ideas. But belly breathing, not only is it practical, but it's an everyday mental health tip that you can use. Okay. Ava said, all right. So I'm going to probably do like 2 more each. Actually, let me just do 1 more and then we could do a part 2 next, because I really want us to begin to understand what's happening. Okay. So mental health tip. I want you to listen to this real quick.
Learning brain versus survival brain. And this is the difference. So learning brain is this brain that's open to learning new information, and it's completely okay with ambiguity and grays and vagueness, and it sees the big picture. It like pulls back and is on the balcony, can look over the forest and figure out what's going on. On an emotional level, people in learning brain feel calm, peaceful, maybe a little excited about what they're about to learn, maybe a little playful and having fun too, and definitely curious. And they're not afraid of making mistakes because it's just part of the learning process. And so they're not really thinking about themselves. And they actually feel a little bit of confidence that if they just apply themselves, they might pick up what they're trying to learn. Now, survival brain, on the other hand, is completely different. It's hyper-focused on threat. It doesn't like ambiguity. It wants clear, hard facts. It thinks in black and white terms. It doesn't want anything to be gray at all. And then emotionally, you can imagine that survival brain makes people feel panicky, feel like a little obsessive and afraid of getting things wrong. And they don't feel calm and open to learning new things. They just want to get things over with. And people in survival brain also really don't like making mistakes, and they are afraid of looking stupid too. So students in survival brain don't want to be picked on. They don't want to raise their hand and ask questions and look stupid. And so these people are also filled with doubt about their own ability to learn stuff, and they're afraid that other people can see how stupid they really are. Now, it's really important to understand how learning brain and survival brain interact, because survival brain always trumps learning brain. And it makes sense, because survival brain is just trying to save your life. And so if it thinks that there's something dangerous happening, you better pay attention to it, right? But the tricky thing is that as survival brain stays on longer and longer, it's harder to get out of that. And it's harder to really go into learning brain. And the way I think about it is kind of like the myth of Sisyphus. You know, that guy who has to push a rock up a hill, and then every day it falls back down and he has to do it over and over again. Well, being in learning brain is like being up on the high parts of that mountain. You can see the expanse of what's going on, but it also takes a lot of work to be up there. And at any second, if you're not paying attention and putting effort into it, it's so easy to slip back into survival brain again. And that rock that Sisyphus is trying to push up, well, that's kind of like stress. And the more stressed you feel, the heavier and bigger that rock gets, and it just pushes you back into survival brain quicker. Now,
Hear me. The only reason, and this is why I have this example today of a real life situation where I'm trying to do something, do it well, but I have my kids around me. I would not be able to do this if I was not out of that survival mentality. And I love how it depicted the survival brain, because at the base of the brain is really like triggered and it's really red. And like he said, it trumps the learning brain. What being in a constant state of stress, having frequent flight, or freeze mode does to us, it keeps our brain at an injured state. That's what survival mode is. Your brain is injured. Mhm. And in a place of constant awareness, fear, anxiety, you're always at a 10. And if we don't learn to cope, if we don't learn to actually cope and heal, we're going to stay in that state of mind. So no matter what someone tells you, you're not in that learning brain. This is why people will tell you how to handle stuff with your kids, and it frustrates you. It irritates you. You don't want to come across as being stupid. You don't want to come across as you not knowing how to handle your kids. You don't want to come across a certain way, because that's what the survival brain has done. What, my love? Okay, get a nap. I'll get you a napkin, okay? And so if you're constantly in that mode, you cannot see your child for who they are, a child. Children are childish. You know what Ava wants right now? She found something in her juice that I cannot see with my eye, but she wants a paper towel. She wants a paper. Illogical. Illogical. But if my brain is not right, I can see her as a threat. I could see her as annoying and frustrating. I could see it so many different ways, and I'll respond that way. And so if you're in therapy, or if you're seeing a coach for your mental health, consider, how do I shift from survival mode to thriving? Because I want to be able to freely learn and accept my faults, accept, anything I'm going through, and not feel stupid, not feel like I'm making a mistake, that I don't know what I'm doing. Right. And those are some realistic things to think about. All right. And I'll leave that there. And I pray that you also take it to the Lord. Help me, God, to see myself and see my brain. Am I in a learning brain state, or am I a survival brain state? Because nothing I will do will ever, all I will keep doing is perpetrating and just keep going in survival mode, thinking I'm being effective, but really I'm not, because I'm hurting myself, and I'm eventually hurt someone else in the process. You want to get out? You finish your juice? No, you still have it in your hand. All right, Papa Mamas. All right. Last video I want to show you. This is what I just gave y'all a mental. Oh, let me give you a practical. Come here. What, my love? Okay. Eat the rice. In our house, I'm not the only one that cleans. Okay. So, practical tip: cultivate everybody cleans mentality. Oop, my thing is about to die. I have to sit down with y'all. I'm gonna bring it to you though. Cultivate and everybody cleans, even your guests cleans, okay? Because it's not all on mommy. I'm gonna show you 2 things that we bought that helped us a lot. Okay, 1. Do y'all see this? Mommy rarely sweeps. Why? Because we got a handheld vacuum cleaner. It plugs up right in the wall. Levi even vacuums the floor. Ava, can you let her down, Levi, please? Thank you. Get you one of these, because it used to irritate me so much that the kids would not clean the floor how I expected them to do. Well, guess what? We suck it all up now. Practical tip: get you a vacuum that's easy, lightweight, that everybody can vacuum. Everybody unloads and loads the dishwasher. Everybody cleans and takes out trash. Everybody is doing their part. Hold on 1 second. Everybody cleans. She's tired. You say hi to everybody? Told you, real life. Everybody cleans. That should be the expectation of the house. Not only is it going to help you your stress, but imagine coming home to your house already clean and you didn't have to do it. All right. And so with that, I'm going to close out with the last thing that I want to share with you guys. You've heard me say this time and time again. If you plan to survive being with your kids, you have to take breaks. You have to. Your brain needs to know when it's going to get a break. No machine, nobody runs consistently without a break. So let me show you what not getting a break has done to many of us, because we can see ourselves in this imagery, so that way you can see why it's so important.
You're on this little boat out on the water. Your day starts well. You're floating comfortably and you know what you need to get done today. But then something unexpected pops up. A colleague is off sick. You need to cover a few of their jobs as well as your own. But you can handle it. The pressure is on, but you're focused, productive, and comfortably busy. Then an urgent job comes in. While you're getting it done, you start to fall behind with your other tasks, and the waves are really starting to rock the boat. Time starts ticking away, things are taking longer than planned, and the to-do list is growing. As the day goes on, the waves and the weather are getting worse and worse. With a lot of effort, you can stay afloat for a little while, but it won't be long before the pressure is too much and the boat ends up in danger of capsizing. The best way to prevent stress is to learn how to manage the pressures upon us when they turn up. We need to identify them and have strategies ready to prevent pressure from turning into stress.
Would help for me to unmute myself. I was saying that right there is exactly what we're talking about today. Kids are going to be kids. Things surrounding kids are going to always come up. There's always going to be something, but what is your plan? How do you manage your stress? Where is your state of mind? Is it in learning mode or survival mode? Do you have practical things around you that can make your life easier so you can focus on the things that really matter? Do you have support system that you can say, look, I can't right now. I need you to step in. I need to pull back. I need to take a break because I feel my boat about to capsize. Are we aware enough to know when that happens or is going to happen? Catch it. And so if you're in your healing process, you're like, man, will I ever get it? Please know, like I told you earlier, we have to create those new pathways in our brains of thinking for our body and our mind to go, oh, this is the path. When I'm stressed, this is what the path that I take. It takes time. But so many times we hear moms saying, thank you, Milagros. So many times we hear moms say, I have to work like I'm not a mom, and I have to mother like I don't work. Even someone like me that's a stay-at-home mom, I have things I need to get done. And so, yes. And so we have to realize some of these narratives that the world is pushing onto us, we've accepted as our reality. And it's really not. It's really not. And we have the choice to accept it, or we have the choice to say, no, I'm not joining that bandwagon. Are you up now? So that being said, I hope these tips really help. I hope it can give us something to glean on in those moments where we need to find relief. And I hope it reminds us we weren't taught this, love. We weren't taught this. We're still learning it today. Science is still learning it. Mental health coaches, psychologists are still learning it. We're still learning it. So we have to give ourselves grace to understand that this is part of the process, and I need to be whole throughout it, and I can find opportunities to thrive versus survive It's just I got to put things in proper perspective, and I have to have proper strategies. Yeah. All right. All right. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go back to just focusing on my children. Like we said earlier about multitasking, I'm going to go focus on my kids. And I hope that tonight, as you rest your head, that you begin to strategize on your tomorrow. Things are going to happen. Things are going to come up. How you respond is your choice. How you manage is your choice. So take any of these 10 tips to help you do that. And reach out to me if you want some more tips. I have a whole bunch, but I'm just trying to piece size it in the sense that it's not too much, because these things have taken me years to understand and incorporate in our family. But if you want more tips on a personal level, reach out. I got you. You can do this. We just have to learn. All right. Love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week on purpose. Bye. Say bye. No. Thanks for hanging with us, guys.